Welcome to my show, simply entitled Women Influencers. I am Veronica Malolos, CCIM, founder and CEO of the Capstack Group of companies, providing commercial real estate development, brokerage, and property management services in the greater Orlando area. Today's guest is Catrina Craft, CPA extraordinaire, specializing in tax strategies, and a huge advocate for women in business. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe below. I welcome your comments and please share with someone who can benefit from this podcast.
Why, hello, Catrina. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm great. I know you're in Dallas. I'm in Orlando. We got a cold front, but your cold front is much colder than mine. So stay warm over there. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And if you don't mind, I just want to dive right in because I am so excited to hear your story, how you grew up in your environment and how you got to where you are today.
Absolutely. So when I grew up in Dallas, Texas. I tried to get away at one point. I never could. It just kept grabbing me back. So born and raised in Dallas, Texas. My father's a principal and my mother was over the food service in the DISD, which is Dallas Independent School District. So we grew up middle class. And we were always taught to work, get a job, go to college, go to a company, get a job and stay there forever. And I realized that wasn't me. That wasn't for me. So when I went to college, first high school, I realized I loved accounting. I loved bookkeeping. So that was my first forte into understanding accounting and what it meant in bookkeeping. When I went to college, I majored in accounting. I got my master's in accounting, and then I fell in love with taxation.
Wow.
I just saw that code of taxation benefits business owners and entrepreneurs and investors. And then I realized, I want to be an entrepreneur. I just love being able to create. I love being able to work with who I like working with, whereas in corporate, sometimes you don't have that ability to work with who you want to. And I like to work with people who are in the creative fields or investing. So that's kind of who I target. But in college, I really just studied accounting and then went on and got my master's in accounting as well. And I just continued to learn and study.
I have to tell you, my dad, he's passed, and God rest his soul. He was an attorney, but he was also a CPA. So and he specialized in tax. So it's really cool hearing you say that. So when you discovered that that's really where your passion was, how did you move on and progress in pursuing your dream?
I did a lot of studying, went to a lot of conferences, and I was working corporate at the time. I started my career. When I came out, it was very tough to get jobs. So I actually worked as a contractor at banks. So I would move around and I was like, okay, I'm not feeling this. And then I went to an entrepreneur and worked for our marketing entrepreneur company. And that's when I realized, okay, when I turned 30 or before I turned 30, I said I wanted to start a business. And that's what I did because I had seen it and worked in that field. And I saw people that were doing it. So I realized, this is possible. This is not something I grew up knowing or understanding. So I just started to study and go to conferences. And I went to one conference where Robert Kiyosaki of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, his tax strategist was there. And from that, I went up to her after the conference and I said, I want to learn everything that you know. And so I was just being bold. So that's one thing I do want to say. Sometimes you need to be bold in moving into your purpose and your passion. I was scared,
Absolutely.
but I was bold because I was like, she knows so much. Who am I to approach her and say, I want to learn everything that you know? So I just continued to study and follow her. And she said, well, if you really want to understand, follow up with me. And I did. I sent a proposal on how I could work with her. And I continued to follow up. Be persistent. So be bold, be persistent. I was persistent because she said, well, it's not time yet. I'm not ready to hire someone. And she was in Phoenix and I was in Dallas. But I presented a proposal, thought outside the box. So be bold, Be persistent and think outside the box. So when someone says no, you figure out a way that, yes, this is a possibility. So I sent her my proposal and we began working together. So that's how I got into advanced tax strategies, because she was Robert Kiyosaki's tax strategist. And I just learned about that whole rich dad, poor dad strategy, studied that. And I was like, oh, this makes sense. You have the ordinary income, the passive and the investment and the business. And I was like, I like this. I like understanding this. And I just start to study more.
Well, that's amazing, Katrina. Tell me a little bit about you building your business. I mean, did you have a partner? You did it on your own? Is it ongoing? Is it still the same company? Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I started my business. I was working at corporate and I just started doing taxes on the side. I had different clients, friends that I knew from college, and I knew they had businesses. A couple were athletes. And so I started kind of working with the athletic arena. And then I realized I also liked entertainment because some of them were entertainment. So I started focusing a lot on the entertainment industry and the sports industry, working with clients, and then other small businesses that were in my community, mostly professional services. So doctors, dentists, consultants, engineers, that was the niche that I focused on. And much hasn't changed. That's still kind of the niche that I have. The only difference is I focus now more on creators, and coaches and consultants. So that space is really growing, especially online consultants, podcasters like us, and also different people that are creating courses and coaching people on how to grow businesses, mindset coaches. It could be any relationship coaches. So those are the people that I work with now. And I really enjoy it because I'm a coach myself. And I just understand the nuances between, what you're doing to launch your business and see the accounting of that. So once I started that on the side, that's when I approached Robert Kiyosaki's tax strategist and we started working together. So it was just me, but she had a business and I had my business. I would do one part of making sure people implemented their tax strategies. And that's how I really learned a lot about tax strategies. Once that relationship, and we'll get to that about some of the challenges, once that relationship ended, then I just continued to build my business.
That's amazing. Really, really amazing. Now, you touched on challenges, and that's the next question I wanted to ask you. If there was one challenge that comes to mind and you've overcome it, tell us a little bit about that, how you overcame that challenge.
First, I want to tell individuals that want to start a business, be ready. Be ready, because I know a lot of times you want to start businesses because you want freedom. You feel like, oh, I'll have more time. Well, you probably won't. You have to be ready to really, make the impact, because now you're the janitor, you're the marketer, you're the salesperson, you're the admin. When you start, you're doing it all. And a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. So I would say that was one of my big challenges, is coming into the business, not really understanding that I needed to do all that. I knew the accounting part, but did I know how to really sell? But I had partnered with someone that already had built-in clientele. So that was good for me that we had that partnership. But then everyone has to decide what's working for them. And she decided it was no longer a business that she wanted. And that was 80% of my clientele. So that's the next tip I would say. When you're going to be bold, you're going to be persistent, and then you're going to think outside the box. But then don't invest all of your eggs in one bucket, because that just devastated me. I had just bought a new house. I was single. I didn't have any other type of income. And I was like, how am I going to get new clients? Well, from that, this biggest challenge was I went into $160,000 in debt. Because I was still trying to grow the business and really probably didn't have all the tools to get new people quickly. The good thing about that challenge, though, is that I learned about budgeting and I learned about growing the business, which now I can help other clients with. And I was able to pay that off in 2 years. So it was really, a challenge for me that was good. But every challenge to me is a learning opportunity. And what do you learn from it? And what can you share as others? Because your trial is your testimony. So my testimony was able to, share with other people and be able to help other people. So I never thought it was a bad thing, And as an entrepreneur, I've been there again and gotten out. So, it's a continual effort, and you have to be resilient, and you have to really understand that if this is really what you love, don't give up on it. You just have to know how to pivot and do things differently.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I mean, I run my own company, and I absolutely know what you're talking about as far as being everything in the beginning.
Mhm.
You're the admin, the janitor, you're the bookkeeper,
Right.
you are everything. You're sales and marketing, and then ultimately you're also the manager. But it's amazing to me how you just actually describe the difference between knowing a business and running a
Right.
business. And someone
Right.
like you who's a CPA, who you would think, you knows accounting, is totally different from budgeting.
It
So
is.
that's amazing. And you spoke a little bit about influence and how you've impacted others. So let's talk a little bit about that. If there was one outcome that you're most proud of that you had influence on, what would that be?
Ooh, that's a difficult one because I've helped so many clients just navigate business ownership. But I would say one client came in, they were able to make a lot of money very quickly in multi-level marketing. And that was their first business. And very quickly they were at like $3 million in 3 years. It took a long time because they had multi-level marketings in various areas, but once they found their rhythm, it was very quick. Well, I was really able to help them set up their businesses and then save them over $150,000 in the first year, just in taxes. That's just first year. So, over and over and over again, that's multitude of money that they then could invest and then grow their wealth, hire their children. So then their children start learning about entrepreneurship. So to me, that's generational, generational training, which I did not have because my parents, they were in education. They were different than entrepreneurs. And you really have to be able to sit at the table, sit at someone's knees and be able to study that, especially at a young age. I think that just boosts your idea of what's possible, and you get that training very early. So I think that was a great thing that I know I did with that client, but multiple others. But I think I saw a big impact immediately.
Yeah, absolutely amazing how your own experiences that you've applied to your own journey as an entrepreneur gets to help others through the course of your own business. So, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. I want to ask you if there was one piece of advice that you could give to our audience today, what would that be?
My advice to everyone is to pursue your passion and your purpose. And I feel like God has given you that passion. And a lot of times, that passion that you have, if you like dancing, that may be part of your purpose. I love numbers. God gave me that I love numbers. I like helping people. I like providing insight into money and taxes. I mean, a lot of people like you're crazy, you like taxes. And people have even told me, my clients have said, when it comes to taxes, you make me just feel calm. And I like that because I know that it is stressful. A lot of people, when I get an IRS notice, they just immediately, is stressed, but they send it to me. It's going to be all right. I know what to do, And so that is part of, I feel like, my purpose. I love it. And if you have a passion, just don't jump into it, but research how that may be your purpose and how can you fulfill that, and then find people who are also already been there. Like I started with a person that was like a mentor and a person that already knew it. If you could find that, I think that will just help you go faster.
Absolutely amazing. And truly, I would think that a few of the people who are listening to you right now probably took that or can take that golden nugget and just really apply that in their lives very quickly. So, Katrina, we've come to the point of our interview where I get to pass on the mic to you and you get to ask me a question.
I know that you are in commercial real estate, and I know there's not that many women that are in that field. What have you seen that has impacted women when you talk about investing in real estate? And how has that impact been shown in your clients or your family or friends? And how has it boosted either their morale, their mindset, or even their wealth?
Thank you for the question. I really appreciate that, especially because it is so timely. And let me tell you, I will agree with you that I myself grew up in a house or a home where although we had a lot of table talk and although my mother was an entrepreneur, I don't believe that there was an opportunity for that to have translated into a conversation about you should start your own business or you should venture into that, because the conversation was always about get a degree, which is
Mhm.
fine because we all need to educate ourselves
Right.
and get a job, just like what you had explained earlier on in your story. Well, now I have an opportunity as I have found myself to be a commercial real estate expert. I have now have an opportunity to actually be sort of like a role model. And I'll give you a very good example. Just last year in 2024, I was able to inspire and motivate my sisters, and I have four of them, for us to all go in and purchase a commercial building because we needed to operate a franchise that we just purchased, which is for Jay Sterling's Wellness Spa. And in the course of looking for space, I just got this grand idea that we should go and buy a building. Well, lo and behold, as torturous as SBA lending is, we were able to qualify. And we
Oh, great.
closed on it probably about 4 or 5 months ago. And we're about to start the build out process and we're in permitting to be able to get our interior construction done. And I'll tell you, as we are looking at the opportunities and the possibilities of building wealth through commercial real estate, I think that is a good testimony to women really getting the boldness to be able to invest
Mhm.
in real estate and really opening our own eyes to the opportunities that are out there, because it doesn't really stop there. Right now, all of a sudden, your mind is blown and doors are wide open. And now you're looking at other things that normally you wouldn't be looking at. Tell you that you are correct. Even in the commercial real estate brokerage industry, there are very few women who are really successful who have entered into it. Again, because we're just way behind what men have actually accomplished in this field. But slowly, I think between women like you and the rest of, for instance, the guests that I, I think you're number 64.
Oh,
All of the
wow.
guests that I've had on the show, I think that there is this really great movement to inspire other women for wealth building, generational wealth building, and just personal financial independence for women. So, thank you for that question. I really appreciate that. And before we go, and I say goodbye to you, Katrina, tell us how, if there's some people out in the audience who would want to connect with you, how would they connect with you?
So I am a tax strategist and I'm a virtual CFO. So if you have a business and you are a professional, have professional services or real estate, because I'm a real estate investor as well. And so I understand what you mean about sharing with others, because anytime I can, I say, real estate is a great wealth builder. But if you're interested in connecting with me, if you're a real estate professional or a business owner, typically the business owners are making about 250 to 20 million dollars. Then you can connect with me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, or on YouTube, or my podcast. So on all of the platforms, social media platforms, I'm Catrina M. Craft, and that's Catrina MCraft. And my podcast is called Craft More Cash. So if you go to any of those, you'll be able to find out more. I'm always giving advice on tax strategies, on business strategies, and I love to work with individuals to really just help them grow their wealth.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I'm sure that some of my audience would want to connect with someone like you. So thank you again, Catrina. And I know that just from knowing you for just a few minutes, that you're going to continue to be successful. So continue to be bold and continue to be a role model. Again, I thank you. And have a wonderful 2025.
Thank you. Same to you. Let's craft more cash.
Absolutely love that.